So for somebody who's been not taking a conversational approach and they've got a long list of these, essentially blowing them off and they've sent information to or materials to, how would you approach trying to re-engage them in a way that's not, do you just call them up and take the approach of trying to have a having a conversation with them to move them down this alternative path, or do you take a completely different approach?
Well, I mean, if you've sent them information, you should probably follow up on them, right? I mean, that's kind of what the end of the call was probably like anyway. But then get your act together. When you call them back, do whatever you need to do. Sit in a dark room where you can only think about them. Do whatever you need to do, but get them on the phone. And I just, I don't like to quit on things, but sometimes you have to, it's fish or cut bait, right? But, I definitely follow up with them and put them in my system because we talk so much about a system because that's how we got here. That's how we live the way we live. So you put them in the system and when I do follow up, I do my best. If not, I keep drip marketing on them and hopefully they'll come around. I mean, but keep
Yeah.
moving. Just keep
Like Chuck said,
moving.
do your best. If you've suddenly seen the light, you go, I see what I've been missing. I know how I should do this. Well, okay, from going forward, do the right thing.
Yeah.
You don't want to continue the bad path with somebody you've already, you started off wrong. It's like, if I'm trying to think a good analogy, if you weren't, if there's a bunch of wild cats running around, like, well, hold on, I couldn't catch them the other way. Well, you don't give up on them and let them keep running around. You go, all
Right.
right, now I have a better way. And now some of them I'm going to catch some, I'm not going to catch others. Some of them are just a lost cause. But
Right.
but like Chuck said, what part of our system is you stay in contact with everybody. I know I missed them. It was my job. Hopefully, I didn't do what I should have done right. I blew it,
Right.
but I'm going to stay. I'm going to stay in contact with them, and maybe over time, I'm not going to spend a lot of time with anybody who I'm not getting any business from, but I'm going to stay in contact with them. I'm going to continue to send them the right sort of stories in my email, a non-salesy sort of marketing. Here's something that came up, and maybe over time they'll forgive my poor form on
Yeah.
our first exposure, and
Mhm.
something comes up, and they go, you know what, I'm going to give this guy a call, and they forget. Women forget about childbirth, and a little while later they're having another one after they said they never do it again. So I can I can make some 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 mistakes along the way, as long as I don't totally torch. I'm not going to be rude or obnoxious. If I
Right.
do something like that, but we're not going to do that. So I just didn't, I fumbled, right? I fumbled
Mhm.
it.
Yeah.
I can get back in the game, and they might give me another chance. But now I'm holding on to the ball tight. I'm doing this in a better way. Now that I went, I'm not going to do this old way. I see this
Right.
new way. Got it. Understand. Now and if you come back to them and it's like, wow, this guy John sounds like a totally different person. I thought he was a numbskull before, and he's a bit of a numbskull still. But I see how it could work.
Right. Right.
So now they might give me a chance,
Yep.
or they might turn me on to somebody else, right? They go, I don't know, I've never done business with this guy, but you know what? You might,
And you
and
have to
that's okay.
stay at it. You have to stay at it because
Yeah.
that's the only way you're going to get better.
Well, that's how you
It's like
learn, right? If I fall
that's
off
how
the
you learn.
bike when
Yeah.
I'm 5 years old and never
Right.
ride again.
Right. Then you'll never ride.
You mentioned the ABC contact classification system, specifically that you never call the B's and C's unless they call you first. Seems counterintuitive to a lot of people who think activity equals results, or there's motion is good, activity for the sake of activity is good. Can you just walk through the philosophy behind that and why is not calling 80% of your contacts actually the smarter move?
You brought up action just for the sake of it. No, that's the ultimate busyness, right? It's like running around checking all the boxes and never getting anywhere. And that you see most people do. They're awfully busy running around doing all these things, but none of it really is meaningful. So what you want to do is you want to do what matters most all the time, right? As much as you can at like right now, this matters most. And so therefore we're doing it. Yeah, and we aren't doing it just to do it. This matters most right now. If there are other things that mattered more, we'd be doing that. So you want to be intentional, right? So what we found, if the B's and C's, the probability of getting business with them is really low. then don't spend your time talking to them. You can lay them off to good
Mhm.
marketing,
Mhm.
that they go, oh, that's interesting, and they keep, and so you are still on their mind even though you're not calling them. So it's the ones that matter most, the ones that, if we think, you know 80% chance I can get business from this person, well, I'm calling those. And when I'm done calling those, most people they'll look through all the list. Oh, I should call that one. They'll pick, and it's the wrong thing to do. What's better to do at that point is to contact people that you've never contacted before. And this is why you want to always be hunting for referrals and that kind of thing. So you always have people that you can call. Or if you have a target list of whatever you like to target, I'll call those cold before I'll call a B or C, because it's a sorting game. This is the strategy. There's a strategy, and there's a way, and if you go about it strategically, then you'll get the life you've always wanted to lead. But part of the strategy is, like, if you're playing any sort of strategy game, you don't do the stuff that's the low value stuff. You play the game of strategy to win, right? It's like I'm not it's like not picking up every card. Like, if you're playing any sort of card game, uh, most any sort of card game, you want to get rid of the cards that aren't doing you any good, right?
Right.
And you want to pick up the cards that make your hand better.
Mm-hmm.
So we're not going to chase. If a two isn't good for my hand, I'm not going to pick it up just because it's there. I'm going to pass, and I'm going to keep what I have, and I'm going to go. I'm going to go a different way. I'm only going to pick up cards that are going to uh, are a chance that I can win. If I've got a dud in my hand, I'd rather try for a card that I don't know what it is.
Mm-hmm.
This card that I've got isn't doing me any good. Let me slough that one, pick up the one that's turned over that I can't see. I go,
Yep.
this one is also a dud. I'll get rid of that one next time, or it's good, and I'm going to put that in my hand. It's
Mm-hmm.
it's just constant going through and making your hand better and better and better and better and better. You always going for the better hand, and all those cards you sloughed, all those ones you got rid of, you're still staying in contact with. You're sending them clever marketing, and you're keeping in their mind. But you want to go through 4,000 cards and have the most stellar hand you can ever have in all of time, holding it, playing it. Meanwhile, you're keeping in contact with all those little cards that may suit your hand at some point.
I think that's a great analogy, though. I mean, that's a phenomenal analogy. A card game. If you ever played one, a two comes up and you go, I don't want the two. I want to draw from the pile, and you keep whatever. But I think what people forget is your hand's constantly evolving, right? Because some of those other ones that you sloughed off before, now they're coming into play because they responded.
Right.
The C's now a B and A. And it just, but you can't be so. You got to be somewhat fluid with that. But
Yeah.
I always want more. I always want to call more and let my marketing do as much as possible. I
Yep.
until they
Yep.
prove that they should move up the ranks. That's a great analogy, though. The card game.